Top strategies for efficiently outsourcing link building. Expert guide from SalesHive. Why outsourcing link building belongs in your revenue plan. If you're leading a B2B revenue team, you're seeing the same pressure everywhere. SDR productivity is harder to maintain, paid acquisition is getting more expensive, and buyers are forming opinions long before they ever respond to outreach. That's why link building shouldn't live as a black box SEO line item. When we treat it like a sales motion, clear targeting, tight standards, and pipeline-based reporting, it becomes a predictable lever for discovery and demand. Backlinks are still one of the clearest signals that influence whether your best content gets seen, trusted, and ranked. In a 2023 analysis, 92.3% of top-performing domains had at least one backlink, while 55.1% of sites that failed to reach the top 10 had zero backlinks. Those numbers aren't just SEO trivia. They're a proxy for whether your market even encounters your brand during research. Outsourcing link building can be efficient, but only if you operationalize it the way you'd manage a serious sales outsourcing partner. Defined ICP, strict quality controls, repeatable outreach, and transparent reporting. This guide lays out the strategies we use to make link building work like a revenue program, not a vanity project. The real reason sales teams should care: the research phase. Buyers don't wait for a cold email or a cold call to start evaluating vendors. Roughly 80% of the B2B buying journey now happens without direct engagement with sales, which means your search visibility and third-party credibility shape the shortlist early. If your category pages, comparisons, and use case content can't be found, your SDRs are forced to create demand with less context and more resistance. In sales terms, backlinks are distribution. They help your high-intent pages show up when prospects search for best tools, alternatives, pricing, and how to solve queries that map directly to opportunities. That visibility also supports outbound performance, because prospects who have already seen your brand in trusted places are more likely to recognize it, accept a meeting, and move through the funnel faster. This is why we encourage teams to align link building with the same ICP and ABM focus they use in their SDR agency or outsourced sales team programs. When marketing earns authority around the exact topics and accounts your sales development agency is pursuing, you get a compounding effect: more warm impressions, more engaged site visits, and a higher baseline of trust before first contact. Start with a revenue-backed targeting plan, not a links per month goal. Before you talk to vendors, build a simple roadmap that ties keywords and content to revenue outcomes. The goal is to identify which pages influence pipeline, pricing, product, comparisons, integrations, case studies, and best for pages, and make those the primary targets for new referring domains. If a provider can't explain how they'll prioritize links to those pages versus random blog posts, you're setting yourself up for traffic that doesn't convert. A practical way to keep this grounded is to map each link target to a buying stage, then decide what success means for that stage. That alignment makes it easier to brief your vendor the way you'd brief a cold email agency or cold calling services partner. Who we're targeting, what they care about, and what action we want them to take. It also gives your RevOps team a clean structure for attribution later. Use the framework below to keep link building anchored to pipeline outcomes, not vanity metrics. Choose partners like you would choose an outbound vendor. Efficient outsourcing starts with picking the right operating model for your stage. Some teams need a specialist link-building firm that plugs into an existing content engine. Others need a broader SEO partner who can tighten technical SEO, content, and links together. What matters is not the label. It's whether they can run outreach with the discipline of an outbound sales agency. Targeted lists, personalized messaging, consistent follow-up, and clear reporting on outcomes. Budget expectations should be explicit up front because pricing pressure is where teams make risky decisions. In 2025, typical agency costs often land around $250 to $2,000+ per link, and retainers commonly range from $3,000 to $30,000+ per month, depending on quality, niche, and scope. If you optimize purely for low cost per link, you usually end up with automated outreach, weak sites, and a profile you'll regret later. When evaluating a provider, insist on a walkthrough of their day-to-day workflow, how they prospect, how they qualify sites, how they personalize, how they handle rejections, and how they report. We recommend calibrating in the first few weeks by pre-approving a batch of prospects so you and the vendor agree on what good looks like before volume ramps. If your vendor can't explain link outreach like a real outbound motion, targeting, personalization, follow-up, and QA, you're not outsourcing a growth channel, you're outsourcing risk. Set non-negotiable quality filters to protect the brand. Outsourced link building becomes efficient only when quality is enforced consistently. Your baseline filters should cover topical relevance, authority, organic traffic signals, and editorial standards, with clear rules about sponsored placements and disallowed site types. The goal isn't to make the vendor's job harder, it's to prevent irrelevant, low-trust placements that dilute your brand and waste budget. Put your standards in writing as a link quality and risk policy and share it before contracts are signed. That policy should define what you will and won't accept, how sites are evaluated, and what happens when a placement fails the criteria. It's far easier to keep junk out than it is to clean up a messy backlink profile after the fact. In the first 60 to 90 days, spot check every placement and treat it like QA on a new sales outsourcing motion. If a site wouldn't make sense as a partner, community, or publisher your buyers trust, it probably doesn't belong in your link profile either. Tight feedback loops early prevent bad momentum that takes quarters to unwind. Run the program like a pipeline: cadence, controls, and communication. There's a reason so many teams outsource. 52.3% of digital marketers say link building is the hardest part of SEO, and 75.1% cite the high cost of premium backlinks as the biggest challenge. Those constraints mean you can't afford set it and forget it management. You need weekly visibility into outreach activity, placement quality, target pages, and what's being learned. We like a simple operating rhythm: weekly check-ins for activity and approvals, and a monthly business review focused on what's improving rankings and qualified inbound. Require your vendor to share outreach templates and keep them aligned with your positioning, just like you would with a cold calling team or outsourced B2B sales partner. When messaging is inconsistent across channels, your buyers feel it. If you're using separate partners for SEO and outbound, put them in the same communication lane. A shared Slack channel or weekly sync creates leverage. Your SDR agencies can feed real objection language into link-worthy assets, and your SEO partner can reinforce the same narratives in the market. That's how you avoid the common mistake of running link building completely separate from sales development. Measure what matters, from referring domains to opportunities. Measuring outsourced link building purely by link counts or domain metrics is how teams end up paying for activity instead of results. Start with SEO KPIs that are tied to your roadmap: new referring domains to priority pages, ranking movement for revenue keywords, and organic traffic to those target pages. Then connect those signals to your funnel: form fills, demo requests, opportunity creation, and influenced revenue. Instrumentation is the difference between "we think it's working" and "we can prove it's working." Use consistent UTM conventions where appropriate, ensure analytics goals are configured correctly, and push web activity context into your CRM so RevOps can report on influenced pipeline. This is especially important in B2B, where multiple touches across organic and outbound often contribute to the same deal. Set expectations like you would for hiring SDRs. Meaningful SEO gains from link building commonly take 3 to 12 months. Avoid the mistake of expecting immediate lead spikes, and instead set quarterly checkpoints that progress from placements and indexation to ranking movement to inbound lift in your target segments. When leadership buys into the ramp, you protect the compounding upside. How to get the compounding effect. Sync link building with Outbound. The most efficient setups connect SEO authority building with outbound execution. While your link building partner earns credibility around the topics your market cares about, your outbound sales agency can run personalized outreach into the same accounts and personas. When your content shows up in search and in third-party mentions, your SDR's emails and calls land with more context and less friction. At SalesHive, we're not a pure-play SEO agency, but we live in the same operational muscle: targeted prospecting, list-building services, personalization, and multi-touch follow-up. As a B2B sales agency offering sales outsourcing, cold email, and cold calling services, we can help teams align link-building priorities with ICP focus, ABM plays, and the narratives that actually win meetings. Done well, link building warms the market, while our SDR execution converts that attention into conversations. If you want a clean next step, treat this like launching a new revenue channel. Finalize your ICP-linked roadmap, document your link quality policy, choose a vendor based on process, not promises, and install attribution that connects SEO to pipeline. When link building and Outbound share targets and messaging, you stop paying for isolated tactics and start building a durable advantage.